Virginia's embattled Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax talking about lynching and due process this afternoon. Fairfax staunchly defending himself against allegations of sexual assault during today's impromptu speech on the state's Senate floor, saying, quote, "The truth is on my side. I've lived 40 years accusation free." Take a listen.
If we go backwards and we rush to judgment and we allow for political lynchings without any due process, any facts, any evidence being heard, then I think we do a disservice to this very body in which we all serve. And I want to stand in this moment in the truth, not only which has tested my Constitution personally, but is testing the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia and of the United States of America.
One woman says that Fairfax assaulted her in 2000 when they both attended Duke University. A second woman says Fairfax assaulted her during the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. The lieutenant governor does deny both claims. Friday, House Republicans announced plans to hold a public hearing where Fairfax and the women could testify. Joining me now, civil rights attorney and Harvard University professor Cornell Brooks. Of course, Cornell, the former president of the NAACP and a longtime Virginian. Cornell, I've been covering the story very closely. I've been covering Virginia politics for a long time. I know the lieutenant governor. How do you personally feel about this speech that he gave today, bringing up lynchings in the same speech where he defends himself on credible sexual assault allegations?
I think it's just important for us to appreciate the history here. So where there were at least 4,000 people lynched in America between the end of Reconstruction and 1950, at least 100 or so in the state of Virginia, to create an analogy or make the analogy with lynching is a very serious thing. And so I want to note a couple of things that are very different. The two people who are accusing him of a crime are not two white men in hoods, but rather two African-American women, point one. Point two, lynching was, in fact, lynchings were extrajudicial murders. That is vigilante injustice. These women are not seeking to have him at the end of a rope, but rather in front of a committee or in front of some kind of investigatory body. And so the analogy with lynching is inaccurate and inappropriate. The lieutenant governor can call for due process. That doesn't surprise me as a lawyer. He can even call for and should call for the presumption of innocence. That is certainly what lawyers do, and that's certainly what Americans expect. But to make the analogy with lynching is unfortunate, it's inaccurate, it's inappropriate. It was not right when Clarence Thomas did it nearly 30 years ago. I don't believe it's right today.
All right, well, let's talk about exactly what type of due process Justin Fairfax should be afforded. He's called for an investigation. Basically, everyone associated with the stories called for an investigation. There apparently appears to be different interpretations of exactly what an investigation is in this particular case. Now, he has said that he is opposed to the General Assembly investigating this. He's even raised questions about a criminal investigation in either of the two states. He's asked for an FBI investigation, which the FBI doesn't have any jurisdiction here. From your perspective as a lawyer, what type of due process should the lieutenant governor be afforded, and would he need to comply in order for this to be due process?
Well, let's be clear about this. If, in fact, there are those who are calling for his impeachment or removal from office or calling for him to step down in the state of Virginia as the lieutenant governor, that process would require a legislative hearing and witnesses and the collection of evidence. You would certainly want to hear from Dr. Tyson. You would certainly want to hear from Ms. Watson. This is what would be expected and normal. With respect to the state of Massachusetts and the state of North Carolina, where these alleged crimes took place, in North Carolina, it is my belief, I should say, as my understanding, that there is no statute of limitations. And so a criminal investigation could be conducted there, where you would have all the normal elements. What's important here is that the truth come out. He's called for a full and fair investigation, so has the state NAACP and others. And you need all the elements of an investigation, which is to say you collect all the evidence that is, in fact, available.
But are you concerned at all, and based on this speech today, that he actually isn't interested in the type of investigation that you're talking about? Because he has pushed back on the idea of the General Assembly investigating it. There was a call for impeachment from a Democratic member of the General Assembly, and he was very much opposed to that idea. I mean, impeachment in legislative terms is actually a due process situation where you'd get the opportunity to present evidence and testify on your own behalf. Are you concerned at all that he's attempting to try and play this out without there being a full vetting of this issue and allowing these victims the opportunity to tell their story?
Well, listen, I can't discern his motives, but what I will say is this. If you call for the truth, if you say that you want an investigation, you have to go where the investigation goes. If, in fact, there are people who are calling for his resignation, calling for his impeachment, that implicates, as to say, that suggests, calls for a legislative hearing with all the requirements that go with that. These are, in fact, serious crimes. An allegation of rape is a very, very serious crime. And that merits a full-fledged criminal investigation, particularly in the state of North Carolina.
Right. Now, so let's wrap this up by talking about the fact that there is two other big problems in Virginia right now. The governor and the attorney general both dealing with scandals where they appeared in blackface in their past. You've called on Governor Ralph Northam to resign. He is resisting that. He plans to stay in office. But if he were to resign, do you believe that Justin Fairfax right now is up to the job of the most important job in the Commonwealth of Virginia while these allegations remain uninvestigated?
Well, listen, is he up to the job politically? Is he up to the job as a leader? He was duly elected by the citizens of the state of Virginia, so he has and can assume to have the leadership skills and the ability. But that's not the issue. The issue is whether or not he possesses the character, and that is will be determined by an investigation and a sorting out of the facts. If it came to that, one can assume that he has the leadership ability, but in terms of the character, that's a matter of determination. I'm sad to say that, but that's a matter of how all this plays out. Now, with respect to the governor and the lieutenant governor, I think this is a matter of them on an ongoing basis being very clear about what they did and what they're committed to doing going forward. But it's a very difficult situation in Virginia.
Very difficult and hard to believe after all of this scandal that all three of those men remain in office, and it appears they will remain in office for the foreseeable future. Cornell Brooks, your perspective on this was terrific. We so appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.